this is Netta. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my whole goal for this channel is to help you build a wardrobe and a style that you love so that you can look beautiful and feel confident every single day. So today I'm going to answer the burning question that I get all the time, and that's to tuck or not to tuck. How do you know when to tuck in your tops? And if you are going to tuck in your top, how do you make it flattering? How do you make that call, and how do you decide when to tuck, when not to tuck? So I'm going to try to keep that topic as the focus of today's video because there's so many other directions that this conversation can take us about torso length, about vertical proportions, about belting. I have done a video on how to wear a belt in a flattering way, so I will link that in the description box below. But I'm going to try to stay true to just the topic of tucking in today's video and give you some pointers as to strategies for making tucking work for you, if it indeed does work for you. Okay, first thing I want to talk about when it comes to tucking is the first thing you want to look at is your body. You want to look at your body. If your tummy is relatively flat, like where if it looks good in your clothes that day, like you feel like, oh, I'm having a good tummy day, these jeans are kind of keeping everything in and I'm feeling pretty good about where my tummy is right now, try a front tuck or a French tuck. So what you're doing with a French tuck or a front tuck, and you'll see in this little video that I'm showing you, is that you're creating an arc that can amplify the tummy if you're having one of those days where your tummy is kind of feeling poochy. So a front tuck creates an arc like this. That arc can absolutely amplify a tummy, so it should only be worn on those days or by those people who feel like their tummy is kind of flat, or at least flat for the moment, right? Flat-ish, because that can definitely draw attention to the tummy area. So if you do have a tummy area and you still want to consider tucking, instead try doing the arc in the opposite direction. So instead of creating this, what is that, convex arc, you want to create a concave arc, or the other way around. You want to create an arc that goes down. And so I'm going to show you in this video what that looks like. So by doing a tuck on both sides, you're creating the opposite arc. And what that does is it can kind of magically make that tummy area disappear, minimize the tummy, and just downplay that whole area while still defining your waist. And that's the magic of a tuck. Why do we tuck? Why do we consider tucking? So that it doesn't look like we are straight up and down, and it kind of defines our waist. It can be very flattering, it can be very slimming, it can be all of the things if done properly. So a side tuck on either side and creating that arc like that can really make your tummy virtually disappear. So play with those two different types of tucks depending on kind of where you're at with your tummy. Maybe it's just me, maybe I'm the only person whose tummy changes from day to day or hour to hour, but I have found this to be a really helpful principle. The days that my stomach is kind of not cooperating with my plans, then I do the side tuck on either side. The day when I'm feeling pretty good about it, I do the front tuck. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is body type a little bit and looking at your body type. If you are straighter through the waist, you do not have waist definition, you may want to play with an unconventional asymmetrical tuck, like a half tuck, a side tuck on just one side, maybe a little kind of a rumpled front tuck. But what you'll find is probably a full tuck all the way around is not going to be your best look. It's really going to kind of highlight the straightness through your torso. That can be the same for those of us whose waistlines change throughout the day. If your waist tends to like expand as the day goes on, you might find that a full tuck isn't as flattering, especially a full tuck with a fitted top into fitted pants can be really hard because it can really kind of show if you're super straight there, and doesn't give you any waist definition and doesn't really do that much to enhance your shape. So a full tuck is always an option if you're not interested in trying a front tuck, or you feel like a front tuck or a side tuck isn't really for you. Maybe you've got a little bit more classic style. Try the full tuck with a blousier top and see how that works instead. But in general, you will find that a full tuck is more flattering on somebody who has a defined waistline. And so keep that in mind when you're trying to decide whether to do a full tuck a front tuck, or a side tuck, right? So many tuck options. Always look at your body. Start with your body type. Start with what looks like it's going to flatter your body. The next thing to ask yourself about your body is whether your legs are shorter or longer. If your legs are longer, like my legs are relatively long for my height, you can afford to wear your tops a little bit longer and maybe skip the tucking in some cases because you have that space to work with on your legs, and wearing a longer top isn't necessarily going to shorten your legs by a lot. You're still going to create a proportional look. So if you have longer legs, you tend probably to have a shorter torso. You can elongate your torso a little bit by wearing a top lower that falls maybe around the hip area, if that's an area that's flattering for you for a top length, and you're going to elongate your torso and not considerably shorten your legs. So that can be a flattering look if you've got longer legs. If you've got shorter legs, you need to be careful with this, because if you're wearing a top that's longer, it's going to cut your leg line off and it's going to make your legs appear shorter. So you're more likely to need to tuck your shirts in if you've got shorter legs, because it will bring the waistline up and will visually lengthen your legs. So keep that in mind when you're trying to decide whether or not to tuck. You want to look at your waistline. You want to look at the length of your legs versus the length of your torso, and you want to decide on tucking or not tucking based on your specific body. The next thing you want to look at is your actual top, the top that you're wearing. Now, there are tops that are just not designed to be tucked, right? Like if it's got an overly embellished hem, you probably don't want to tuck it. If it's got a peplum hem, you don't want to tuck it. If it's got like, it's not really in style right now, but like a tunic with like a really asymmetric hem where it crosses over in the front and there's that V opening, that's not going to be a very tuckable shirt. Tunics in general, longer tunics, especially bulkier tunics in general, are going to be really, really hard to tuck. So I feel like if you find that length is not flattering for you, then you might want to have those tops hemmed or cut to a flattering length, because tucking all that extra fabric in is going to be really tricky. So one of the best options to look at, and I'm finding them more and more in stores right now, maybe because I have a shorter torso and some of these tops are designed to actually be even shorter, like more like a crop top, but for me, they fall at a really good length. So I'm talking about waist length tops. So the easiest way to know whether a top is going to hit you at the right spot is to take a top that already hits you at waist length without tucking. So if you can find a top that hits you right at a good spot at your waist without tucking, then measure from the shoulder to the hem of that top and figure out what that measurement is. And then when you're looking online or you're shopping anywhere, you'll know if you found another top that hits you right at that waist length. So if you find a top that hits right at the waist, you don't need to tuck it. It's perfect. It is going to define your waist without tucking. So if you feel like tucking is not flattering for you or is not an option with what you're wearing, try to find a waist length top. It's going to keep that long leg line going without you having to worry about the tummy area, the waist area, the flattery of tucking or not tucking. So waist length tops that come just below the waist don't need to be tucked. You can, if you want to try a little tuck with a front waist, with a waist length top, you can do just a tiny little front tuck if you want to try that. But if it lays nicely at your waist without bunching up there, then keep it untucked. That's like the ideal solution. If you've got a thick or bulky top, try a little bit of a front tuck to create definition without having to tuck that whole thick hem in all the way around. So this is something I like to do with sweaters. I have a hard time with sweaters because I have a short torso. I'm shorter in general, and it can look like a bulky look on me, and it can swallow me up, make me look like the Michelin Man or something, like with all this fabric around me. So I like to do just a little front tuck with a bulky top because it will create just a really nice definition at the waist and still allow me to wear the cozy sweaters and all of the things. So try that. Looser, longer, flowier tops should be tucked for the most part. First of all, they're not it's not trendy to wear longer tops right now. Like, it's not something that's really happening in style. So you want to find a way to create some waist definition. Again, you might try a front tuck with these. If they're thinner fabric, you can tuck them in all the way around. Just experiment with the different tucks with a longer, looser, or flowier top. Those are tops that, in my opinion, in 2021, you should consider tucking because they will look more contemporary. Either consider tucking them or maybe wearing them with like your leather leggings if you're going to wear them out or not. But if you're wearing them with jeans, you're wearing them with pants that have a defined waistline, you want to consider tucking those tops and finding one of those tucks that's going to work best for you. Consider the hemline of the shirt. Like, if there's a lot going on at the hemline, those are tops that you're probably going to have a harder time tucking, like I said, like a peplum or an embellished hemline. If you've got like a curved hemline or straight hemline, that makes no difference. That was one of the questions I got when I put a shout out for questions in my Facebook group for this video. It doesn't make any difference if the hemline is curved or straight when it comes to tucking. You just want to know whether the fabric is going to fit in the pants and you're going to be able to tuck it in a way that doesn't look bulky. So again, when you do have that extra bulk, a front tuck can be a really good solution for that. Okay, third, I want you to look at your bottoms because we're always talking about balancing an outfit, right, with the different elements. So if you're looking at the bottoms that you're wearing, and if you're wearing something flowy on the bottom, flowy pants, a flowy skirt, a midi skirt, a slip skirt, something like that, then you need to add waist definition to the outfit for it to be really flattering. So tucking in with flowy pants or flowy skirt, defining the waist and keeping the top a little bit more streamlined and not doing baggy with baggy, but fitted with baggy is going to be so much more flattering. So if you've got flowy pants, flowy skirt, you want to define the waist by trying some form of a tuck. If your bottoms are fitted, try a flowy top. So the opposite is also true, right? We're trying to balance the volume. So if you've got fitted bottoms, if you're wearing skinny bottoms, if you're wearing leggings, you might want to try a flowier or a blousier top to balance that look out. Again, you can try tucking in that case as well. If you want to, if the top is not too long and it comes to your waist, you can leave that top out. But flowy with fitted, fitted with flowy, just a rule of thumb to keep in mind in general about creating pleasing and flattering proportions with your clothes. So if your bottoms are high-waisted, which is kind of the trend right now. I mean, actually we have high, mid, and low, everything, but high-waisted is probably the most prevalent trend right now. If you feel like you can wear a high-waisted and if you've got a high-waisted pair of bottoms, do a fuller tuck, like an all-around tuck with long or flowy tops with high-waisted bottoms. High-waisted bottoms do not look great with a long flowy top hiding the high waist. That kind of defeats the purpose. Of course, you know, if you really don't like the look of a high waist, then you might want to just wear your top out. But in general, if you're wearing high-waisted bottoms, you're going to want to tuck a long or flowy top into the waist of those bottoms. If you're wearing high-waisted bottoms and you're wearing a shorter top, try a little front tuck or a half tuck with that, with those high-waisted bottoms. Because the point of high-waisted bottoms is to really show that waistline, lengthen your legs, make your waist look magical. So try a little bit of a front tuck, even if you're wearing shorter tops with a high-waisted bottom. You want to show the waist. That's the point of a high-waisted pair of pants or a high-waisted skirt. If you're not loving that look, then I would choose a different pants style, because that's, like I said, that's the whole point. If your top hits nicely at the waist and you're still showing that beautiful high waist detail of those pants, then you can leave the top untucked. So again, the more fabric you've got with a high-waisted pant, the more you need to tuck. If it hits you right at the waist, you can leave it untucked. Okay, if your bottoms are low to mid-rise, this is a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit trickier. Half tuck the long and baggy tops for sure if you've got low rise or medium rise pants. Long and baggy tops in general, as a rule, should be tucked or half tucked because otherwise you have no waistline. They completely swallow up your waistline and you just don't see any shape. Otherwise, with low or mid-rise pants, if you don't have a longer baggy top, wear your tops untucked. It can be hard to tuck a fitted or structured top into low-rise pants. That has the opposite effect that we want, and it can make you kind of your waistline look completely lost and just make it disappear. So you can have a really straight line that maybe is not as flattering if you end up tucking a fitted or slightly fitted top into low-rise pants. It's a look that to me really says like 2000 or something. I mean, and I know that that's a trend, but it's definitely not for everybody, and it's definitely not flattering. So low-rise jeans can be tricky in that for a lot of reasons, but definitely you can lose your waistline in low-rise jeans if you're not tucking, or if you're tucking your top. So leave them untucked unless they're really long or flowy. Okay, so I know I gave a lot of information about looking at your body, looking at the different elements of your clothes, but really ultimately at the end of the day, what you want to do with your pants or with tops when you're tucking is you want to try and take pictures. A lot of this is trial and error. I gave you my guidelines. First of all, look at your body. Decide if your legs are long or short. Decide if your waist is defined or undefined. That's going to help you decide whether you want to tuck your tops. Second, look at your top. Is the type of top you can tuck? How can you tuck it? What can you do to make that work? Third, look at your bottoms. Are your bottoms flowy? Then you're going to want a more fitted top that's tucked. If are your bottoms more fitted, you can leave the top out. Like looking for that balance when it comes to putting together an outfit. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we're all going to have very specific features of our bodies that are going to make one technique and one strategy work more effectively for us than another strategy. And so you want to try tucking if you haven't tucked. Do it when you're hanging out around the house and you don't have anything to worry about and you're not intimidated by going out in a new silhouette or a new look, and see how it feels. Take a picture and look at that picture. Wait a couple of hours, wait a couple of days, look back on that picture and say, how did I really look with that top tucked? Should I consider tucking, or is tucking really not for me? Is it just not a flattering look for me? So there are going to be people who are going to find, especially if you've got a lot of extra shape around your tummy, there are going to be people who are going to find that tucking is really often not the best solution for them when it comes to flattery. So you won't know until you try it. Doesn't cost anything to try it. You're just using your regular tops and your regular bottoms and experimenting with some of these different tucks, taking pictures. If you've got any questions about this, we have the best and most supportive Facebook community on the planet. So take a picture, share it in the Facebook community, and ask for feedback. You're going to get kind but constructive feedback that can help you decide whether defining your waist with a tuck is something that is going to work for your body or not. Okay, now I'm going to answer a couple of questions that came in response to my post on how to tuck and whether to tuck and all of the things. So from Laura, to belt or no belt. Belt or no belt is a personal preference and also comes down to how much do you want to showcase your waist. If you really want to showcase your waist, if you really want waist definition, if you feel like your waist is already defined and you want to highlight that waist definition, then belting is a good option. If you want to draw attention away from your belly area, your waistline is straighter, your belly is fuller, then you're going to want to skip a belt for the most part. If you've got a straighter body type, what I call style dial blue body type, and you're straighter through the waist, one of the more flattering ways for you to belt is to belt low down around the hips and not at the waistline at all. But that's a topic for another video. I did do a video on belting, so I'm going to link that in the description box below. But that's a really good question. How does body shape and size make a difference? So body shape makes a difference in terms of your waist definition for sure. The more defined your waistline is, the more you will probably find that a conventional full tuck is going to be flattering for you. The less defined your waistline is, the more you're going to want to strategically use maybe side tucks or some asymmetrical elements to make your waist look more defined. Size makes a difference in terms of how you feel about your belly and your middle section in general. Do you want to draw the focus there, or do you want to draw the focus somewhere else? If you really feel like that's a full area for you and you've got a lot going on in that area, you do not want to draw attention to it, then you're going to want to skip a tuck and try another flattering strategy, like maybe wearing a top that hits at the waist length so it doesn't shorten your legs, but it's also not drawing attention to your tummy. The next question that I got about tucking is tucking t-shirts or shirts with straight hems different than shirts with shaped hems? No. If you're tucking a t-shirt or a shirt with straight hem or a shaped hem, you're going to follow the same strategies for tucking. The only thing that you want to look at is how much bulk there is there and how much you need to tuck. If there's a lot of bulk, you're going to need to try just a front or side tuck because you won't be able to tuck the shirt in all the way around. I am not convinced that tucking is always the most flattering for my body. This is from a member of my Asia Style program. Flat, very flat bum and one hip higher than the other. I respect the trend, but is it for everyone? It is not for everyone. If you're finding that it doesn't work for you, I mean, try a couple of tweaks. Maybe you tuck a little high, or you tuck on the side where your hip is higher and not on the side where it's not. And you try something asymmetric. If you can create an asymmetric line, that can really visually whittle down your waist, right? If you don't love the way that your bum looks and you feel like tucking really kind of showcases that you've got a flat bum, then maybe leave the back out to add a little bit more volume to the bum and do just a little front tuck. Experiment with a couple of different tucks, and if you ultimately find that tucks don't work for you and you don't like the way that they look, you've taken a couple of pictures, you've looked at it, you've tried a couple of different ways, then it doesn't work for you. And then my suggestion is always to go back to a waist length top, a top that hits, below the waistband of your pants. So obviously it's covering the tummy and all the things, but still defining your waist without having to tuck. Belt and buckle ideas. So I'm going to refer you to the belt video for that, but to show or not to show. Again, with a belt or a belt with a buckle, you're going to want to decide whether you like your waistline, whether you want to show off the definition in your waistline. If so, you're going to want to show that belt and the buckle. If not, then I would skip the belt and again, go with that waist length top. Find out what that waist length is for you. If you want to know your exact length for a top to hit so that it's the most flattering on your body vertically, check out my Fashion Fit Formula solution. I will link that in the description box below, but it will give you the exact length that your tops need to hit so that your body looks the most flattered in your tops without having to tuck. If tucking is stressful for you, if it really feels like it doesn't work for your body type, then skip it entirely. Go with the waist length tops, and you're still going to get that definition without tucking. So I hope that this was helpful. I know I covered a lot. I know that tucking can be confusing. I'm going to spell this out in even more detail in the blog post that goes with this video. So definitely check that out. And let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Is there something that I didn't address in this? I know, again, I can go on and on about this, and I can definitely do a part 2 of this video. If you guys still have some questions, let me know in the comments below. Thanks as always for tuning in to today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it and found it helpful. Love you guys. Before you leave, don't forget, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, let me know that you like this video, and the notification bell. You'll be the first to find out when I upload new videos every Tuesday, every Friday. I will see you in the next one.